and some of them were like what this book made me understand that it's possible for us without technology to reduce our carbon emissions by even to get as low as zero. And one of the interesting things that I looked at is our buying habits and purchasing habits, and how are we used to buy, to always, there is this kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but you always have to buy new stuff. And this is what the trend is. People always buy stuff that they don't need. So I was in my section, I tried to encourage people to share. So my first design action was to get rid of barriers and backyards. So all of the space in the back is shared between everyone. And then I started thinking about food habits, buying habits. And one of these, the most important one is food. So I started by designing spaces for people where they can plant vegetables, so they can use it as a farm and produce all the necessary food they need. And I also looked at water harvesting systems. So I added spaces in here that Ben already added from the last time, and I used it to harvest water and use it to plant all the trees and everything necessary in here. I also looked at the area here. So in the old proposal it was kind of hard to navigate, and this was his idea to reduce speed. So I kind of removed it and added a new structure that is used as a market for sharing stuff between people. So if you need a new TV, maybe someone else needs something else, that you can give it for him. So it's more of a trading area, and they can also trade vegetables and stuff that is food produced here in this market for other neighbors around from other districts and areas. And I also looked into other mechanical stuff like mechanical ventilation heating recovery system, and also looked at solar roofs. Tesla have this solar roof that is actually looks like a normal roof, but it's a solar one. It can be expensive to use, but it looks like, and you can use any type of roof you want, and it looks like a normal roof, but it's a solar roof. And I also looked at specific types of plants called moss plants. So you use it on the ground. It's like really small plants that grows in between tiles and helps capture carbon emissions. I think this is it. Yes. My main concept was just to encourage people to share more and to use the space for all of them together. There are some other ideas I didn't have enough time to look at. One of them is working from home and how much offices can reduce emissions, and if we try to minimize going to work and coming back and just instead start working from home, we could decrease the carbon emissions.
I think it's a really good idea just to look at basic lifestyle.
Yeah.
Rather than necessarily have to make radical changes to the environment, start with that, because that's a fairly low cost shift to how we consume energy. I think you could have taken it a bit further if you consider how people inhabit buildings, whether it's for work or for domestic purposes. You could think about how people prepare food. Well, you need to look at where energy is consumed in the house and what can be done about it.
I mean, I did look at this, but my direction was more about the indirect, because there's direct produced emissions, and they were all in your house. And what is the biggest one was the heating, and it reduces 1.2 tons a year for the average adult. And there was other stuff, but I tried to direct my project towards indirect produced emissions.
Yes.
The stuff that you don't think that you're actually reducing emissions.
Well, for example, how do you reduce the heating emissions?
I would have to look at technological aspects.
I don't think so. I think you need to look at lifestyle.
There is one thing that I looked at, and is you can actually use newspaper as insulation, especially in.
You started off looking at lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, all the other things you're suggesting are valid, but I'm trying to stay within the premise that you want to operate in.
Yeah.
And I think your idea about looking at lifestyle and the way you know, if it is about reducing energy consumption, there are some fairly straightforward things that changes in lifestyle that people could adopt. Now, you as an architect don't necessarily control these things, or do you? You see, for example, and I'm sorry to go back in time, and I'm not suggesting that you go back in time, but there wasn't central heating in my house when I was young. There was no such thing. But we didn't get cold. So what we did was we adjusted what we wore to suit the environment inside the house. So it's easier to keep a body warm by the first layer than by the last layer, which is the external layer. So that's why I say work with lifestyle. Think about how people cook and how one can cook more efficiently and so on. So I know this is kind of in some ways getting away from architecture, but by providing central heating in every room in every house, we as architects make a design decision that wastes energy.
Yeah.
And okay, I know that what I'm saying is controversial, but I think you're allowed to play with these notions, and that's why I mean I should be talking more about what you've done, but what I'm saying is that your approach can go further. I think this is really good. There is a need for some sort of quantification. How many people live on this plot? How much food do we consume in a year? And how much space does it need to produce that food? What would the difference be, sorry that was Jules, if they were carnivores or vegetarian or vegans, you know? So these sort of things are about lifestyle, and like the ideas that we have about having this market, about growing food locally and so on. I just think that you need to look at, if it's lifestyle, look at more things that are about lifestyle.
Yeah, you could definitely push it more, because I was such a strong start to actually, you know, put technology aside. Actually, lifestyle, we really need to look at individually at what each decision that we make every day. I totally agree with that. I mean,